Hello, and welcome to the nitrogen cycle. Today we're going to talk about what the nitrogen cycle is, how it affects the Earth, and humans' effect on it. So first, let's start off with talking about what is nitrogen exactly. Nitrogen is a colorless, odorless, unreactive gas that forms about 78% of the Earth's atmosphere in its unreactive form. The nitrogen cycle is one of Earth's most important cycles because it's essential to all living systems. All plants and animals need nitrogen to make amino acids, proteins, and DNA, but the molecules in the atmosphere only become usable when they are broken apart during events such as lightning strikes, fires, or when certain types of bacteria break them apart. Now, let's talk about the actual nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen gas, also known as N2, is found in the atmosphere. Bacteria on the roots of plants then converts the nitrogen gas into ammonia, or NH3, in a process known as nitrogen fixation. The ammonia is then assimilated, which is when plants take it in through their roots and animals get it by eating the plants. Animals and plants then die and decay, and bacteria or fungi convert the nitrogen into ammonium, or NH4, through a process known as ammonification. Nitrifying bacteria then converts the ammonium into nitrates, also known as NO2, and nitrates, or NO3. Lastly, denitrifying bacteria returns it to the atmosphere through a process known as denitrification, and that's how the nitrogen cycle works. Now we'll talk about how nitrogen is a limiting nutrient. This means that nitrogen is the nutrient that's shortest in supply and thus limits the growth of organisms or populations. Processes such as primary production and decomposition are limited by the available supply of oxygen. We know if a nutrient is limiting if adding more of it increases growth, and if a non-limiting nutrient is added instead, it won't have an effect. For example, if nitrogen is added to half of the plants in a garden, and those grow taller than the untreated plants, then that suggests that nitrogen is limiting. Also, humans play a large part in how much nitrogen goes into the atmosphere. Human activity releases nitrogen into the environment by combustion of fossil fuels. High levels of atmospheric nitrogen are associated with harmful effects like the production of acid rain and contributions to the greenhouse effect. Also, the use of nitrogen-containing fertilizers in agriculture can cause excess fertilizer to be washed into lakes and streams by surface runoff. The nitrates being leached into nearby streams can create an algae bloom. The algae will quickly die and other bacteria will have to break them down through respiration, which consumes all the oxygen. This process is known as eutrophication, which can result in dead zones, where organisms die and there are low oxygen levels. Both of these processes increases levels of nitrogen-containing compounds in the atmosphere. If there is too much nitrogen in the atmosphere, it is able to alter plant growth, limit visibility, and impair our ability to breathe. Lastly, we'll talk about the harmful effects of nitrogen deposition. Nitrogen additions to soil can make changes that favor weeds over native plants. These invasive weeds can reduce biodiversity, spread disease, or possibly cause soil erosion. Also, high concentrations of nitrogen oxides in the lower atmosphere is a precursor to tropospheric ozone. Lastly, nitrogen oxides can react with water to form nitric acid, which is a major component of acid rain.